cholesterol gets a lot of airspace because it is something they focus on to give you a statin if you're high. Your cholesterol is high at 212, although it's not a level that I'm concerned about. Even your LDL being at 122 is not a level I'm concerned about. It does make me ask why though, and there's three things that I do look at when I see high cholesterol, and it's not from a family history. So first I'm going to ask you, do you have any family history of heart disease, stroke?
Heart disease.
Heart disease, and who had it?
My mom's dad.
At what point did he have any heart conditions?
When he was in his late 70s.
Okay, late 70s.
Yeah.
Oftentimes after a period of time, we are more prone to cardiovascular things depending on our lifestyle, our food choices, our stress levels. But when someone your age comes in with a high cholesterol level, I'm going to look at thyroid function, I'm going to look at blood sugar balance, and I'm going to look at stress. In fact, years and years ago, they did, I think it was in Vietnam, they tested cholesterol levels with guys on the field, our soldiers on the field, and they found that just the stress itself made their cholesterol go sky high. And there's a reason for that. Cholesterol is a transporter for stress hormones. So you need cholesterol to transport your stress hormones and your sex hormones, so that's also testosterone, DHEA, things like that, but it does have to transport your stress hormones. So the higher you are stressed out, the more stress hormones you're creating, the more you're transporting them on the back of cholesterol.
Got it.
Okay, so we'll talk about stress management also. The other thing is your HDLs. We do look at those. We like HDLs to be around 70. Yours at 69, I couldn't really ask for them to be better, so that's really great. But that good amount of HDL, that protective cholesterol, is one of the reasons that pushes that total cholesterol up as well. So staying with the cholesterol, which when we think of cholesterol, we think of heart issues and heart disease prevention. We're also going to look at things like whether or not the LDLs are sticky. So typically that's not tested on these kind of tests, but there's a way that we can test for oxidation of LDL. It tells us if your high LDLs are too sticky and can cause problems, or if they're just big, fluffy, and they don't cause many problems at all. And so sometimes if there's history of heart disease, then we will look a little further. Another thing that we relate to heart disease is something called homocysteine. Now, that is an interesting marker because that shows us that when you take in synthetic B vitamins like B12 and folate or synthetic folic acid, you have to convert it to methylated folate. And when you try to, 40% of the population has a hard time doing that, and it causes offshooting of this inflammatory marker called homocysteine. We like it under 8, and you're at 9.
Great.
So that's not a high number, but we are going to watch it because it is above 8, so we're just going to make sure that doesn't become a problem. The more you eat foods that have synthetic vitamins, like enriched flour that has synthetic folic acid, and cyanocobalamin, which is a synthetic B12, you'll have a hard time converting it. You might have this offshooting of a homocysteine, and we'll see it in your blood.
Got it.
Okay? The less you eat of that, making sure your supplements don't have synthetic vitamins, making sure they do have enough methylated vitamins will ensure that you're keeping yourself healthy that way too.
Sounds good.
Okay? And the last cardiovascular one they did is actually an all-over inflammatory marker called high sensitivity CRP, or C-reactive protein, and that was a beautiful at less than 0.2. We like it under 1. It's fabulous.
Great.
So
Awesome.
glad to see that.